Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Alright, go ahead and talk right.
Hello everyone, welcome to Geeky Gentlemen. I'm totally taking this from Ian. And
No, you're not, because I'm not doing the intro part yet. I just need to have something to sync stuff up with.
well,
Good try. Good try. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Super2. Joining me today is the one, the only, the Deadpoolzilla who tried to steal the show, but I slapped his candy ass down.
yes, like an angry stepfather, you beat me like the red herring I was.
Yeah, you're the redheaded stepchild of Geeky Gentlemen. Anyway, speaking of redheaded stepchildren, Deadpoolzilla, what are we discussing today?
We're discussing our collective favorite Star Wars character, Emperor Sheev Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious.
He's got a lot of names, doesn't he? Sheev, Palpatine,
Well,
Emperor, Darth Sidious,
Sheev's
the
first
Senate, Frank. He's got a lot of names. It's like Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones, where you gotta like sit there and wait a few minutes to get through all her titles.
Yeah, you've got like you've got like one of one of his announcers, just like the Dark Lord of the Empire, the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla.
Takimata, do not ask him for forgiveness. Takimata, do not beg him for mercy. Takimata, do not plead to him for help.
Let's face it.
You just can't talk him out of anything.
Oh, it's so good to find another History of the World fan.
I love Mel Brooks, dude. Yeah, but yes, we're here today to talk about not Takimata, though that could be an interesting thing. Ooh, maybe that's what we should do for Geeky Gentleman History Month, is talk about actual historical figures. No, but today we're here to discuss the Emperor from Star Wars, Sheev Palpatine, yes. So yeah, you nailed it right away. Palpatine, Darth Sidious, whatever you want to call him, is by far my favorite character in Star Wars, just because he's such a conniving dick. I love him for that. Like, you know, say what you will about the prequels, they're not good. But like, he is the best thing about all three of those movies, easily.
Yeah, especially the opera scene, which I think is one of the best Star Wars moments.
I would tend to agree if Hayden Christensen could just, emote.
Well, let's face it, it's Ian McDermott who carries that whole scene.
Oh, certainly. That scene is nothing without him. But yeah, I love the Emperor. He's just so, like, he's evil, and he knows it, and he loves that about himself, is what it comes down to for me. I adore that about the Emperor. It all goes back to me, and I think the perfect Palpatine moment is in Jedi, when he is just sitting there torturing Luke Skywalker, and like, there's absolutely no reason that he can't just kill him in an instant. Like, Luke is nowhere near as powerful as the Emperor, that much is inherently obvious, but he's just sitting there and like pausing to make fun of him, and like, you could almost recut that scene and be like, "Now, Jedi, you die. Zap! You will pay the price for your arrogance. Zap! Bitch! Zap!" You would recut that scene and just, like, keep going back and forth and having him say more and more and more. Because, like, that scene is, like, it's hilarious because that scene goes on for entirely too long, but I just don't care because he's amazing.
And I think, like, what the same moment in Return of the Jedi is when he just has that shit-eating grin of when he just has Luke just just go out of control, and Vader just jumps in to block it. And he has that shitty screen with the lightsabers clashing. He's like, oh yeah, I did that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I joked about this forever ago, but have you ever read Joker's Last Laugh?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Dude, the Joker and Darth Sidious would be like best friends. They just totally fucking get each other. Of just like, it's just maniacally proud of their levels of evil. And I like that about Sidious. He has no illusions that his whole thing is somehow justified or like he's doing the true good or anything like that. He knows he's fucking evil.
Yeah.
Like, there's no bones about it. He commissions the building of a gigantic weapon to, destroy planets because he wants to be able to destroy planets that don't listen to him.
It is really cool. And this is what I really like sometimes about my villains. Sometimes I don't need a sympathetic backstory. I just want my villains to be villains. And Sidious is the embodiment of that. He just wanted, like you said, he just wanted to be in power. He just wanted to just be the biggest dick in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny as we talk about the idea of sympathetic villains in this day and age, because, like, it's hard not to talk about politics in this day and age, but, like, there are all the protests happening because of the healthcare bill in Congress, and, like, so you had people in wheelchairs, like, doing sit-ins in front of, like, Mitch McConnell's office, and the cops are being called on them, and they're being physically ripped out of their wheelchairs and carried off. And I just, like, remember seeing writers of, like, comic books and movies and stuff talk about this on Twitter, and they're like, must try to write sympathetic villains. Meanwhile, in the real world, this is happening. And Sidious is totally the guy who's like, yes, I don't give a shit about people. I will say whatever I need to convince those that I need to be on my side. But as far as actually caring about another person, no. And I adore that about him from a character writing standpoint. And this is one of those weird things where, like, you talk about loving a villain as a character, and I certainly do feel like there are people out there who worship villains and actively don't understand why they're bad people. Like, I've seen people go, oh, well, I don't even understand why the Empire is really the bad guy in Star Wars. I'm like, well, congratulations, you managed to miss the point of, like, the most basic good guy, bad guy, white hat, black hat thing ever. But okay. But, like, there's that idea of worshipping villains and missing the point, and then there's the idea of just being absolutely in love with the way a character is written from, like, a literary standpoint. And that's what I have with a lot of the villains that I really like. Like, if the Joker were, for any amount of time, a real person, he would be a monster, and I would want nothing to do with him. I would not respect him or anything like that. But the fact that he's a fictional character allows me to escape into to get lost in the horrific and crazy things that he does. And I feel very much the same way about Sidious. I love watching him as a character. I love watching the conniving schemes and the evil machinations. But that's very different from me, like, wanting him to be real or wanting him to win or something like that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, if Sidious were real, we would all be joining the rebellion right about now. But considering that he is, like, it almost gets the level of comedy of just how evil he is. But at the same time, you can almost fear him because the dude pulled off the Sith's grand plan effortlessly.
Yeah, definitely. And, like, this is an interesting place to go. Like I said earlier, I love the scenes with Palpatine in the Star Wars prequels. I think he is honestly the best thing about all of those movies collectively.
Oh yeah,
that
definitely.
Even the lightsaber battles and stuff. But that being said, one thing that I do not like, and I get a lot of flack for, is the Darth Plagueis novel.
Oh, here's where we try to kill each other.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, there are things about that I really enjoy, particularly like some of the lessons that Plagueis teaches Palpatine. Like, I really, really love the whole scene with them on that, backwater planet, and like he rips out a warrior's heart and has Sidious eat it with him. But the thing for me about why I don't like that book is because I feel it cheapens Sidious and his role in the Star Wars prequels. Like you say, he pulled it off effortlessly, and I'm like, by the standards of Darth Plagueis, yes, he did, because he basically didn't do anything. Plagueis was the one that set it all up. It robs Sidious of that, and I really don't like that.
To which I'm going to counter, and I know we've had this discussion before, but if you remember in the final scene where Sidious finally kills Plagueis, Sidious just tells him flat out, every idea you ever had, I was just feeding it to you. You all just thought it was your ideas, but it was just mine. I was playing you from the get-go, the moment you made me your apprentice.
I'd have to go back and reread that scene, because that's not how I felt the way the book was structured. But neither here nor there, I suppose, because it's out of canon anyway. For me, thankfully. For other people, no.
Technically, it's kind of considered in canon because the Tarkin novel does reference it a lot.
Yeah, I know it was written by the same guy, but I don't know, it's weird. Basically, anything that doesn't affect the new movies could be considered in canon. So, take that for what you will. I guess the thing for me with this is that Sidious doing it all on his own without Palpatine, or not Palpatine, Plagueis' help, just made it so much more impressive and made like his fiendishness better. The second you throw Plagueis in it, it just muddies the waters too much about who really did what, and that bothers me. But there's no denying that the plan itself is really, really cool, if maybe a little contrived. I don't know how much I buy the Jedi part, but I really like the whole rise to power within the confines of politics thing.
Yeah, because that was the thing that that Sidious really believed would be the winner there, not through force, but through politics, because he knew that would at this point everything the Jedi did was a political action. So so Palpatine figured out, if I get into power, then I'm really gonna fuck him up.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand that through with media and the Senate's opinion, the Jedi at the Clone Wars, and keep in mind there had been major wars throughout the galaxy's history that lasted thousands of years. Clone Wars only lasted a sum total of 3 years, but it's what the Clone Wars did to the galaxy that made it so difficult, because it was the galaxy fighting itself. It wasn't the Mandalorians, it wasn't the Sith Empire, it was itself. It was tearing itself apart, and Sidious was playing both sides so beautifully that when it came to it, he overworked the Jedi, he killed a good number of them before Order 66, and you have to look at it that the dude literally, the whole point of this was to weaken, corral the Jedi, and to demonize them. So, because he knew if he did wipe them out ahead of time, they would be seen as martyrs.
Yeah, and I really like that side of it. It's just the, I don't know how much I buy the way in which he has people turn on the Jedi,
Well, look at it, because everyone believed the Sith went extinct after the events of the last Sith War. No one really believed that the Sith were back, and no one really believed Count Dooku was really a Sith. They just thought he was a Jedi, and that spread to the rumor of maybe the Jedi were just, because they believed they were so ancient at this point, they needed a war to keep them in power.
Okay, that's not a perspective I've ever heard before, but that's kind of interesting. I don't know, it's weird because Revenge of the Sith has the Jedi just being destroyed in such a... I think this is just bad directing or bad editing of a film. It just has them be destroyed in such a foul swoop that, like, yeah, it's probably the only way you could kill a majority of Jedi throughout the universe, but I don't know if public opinion would sway on them that quickly, is my thing.
Well, at that point, you have to understand that Sidious's influence through the dark side and his power over it and over the Senate really clouded everyone's opinion. And also you had the media, which is not too different from what we have now.
Yeah.
Remember how we championed police officers during the Boston bombings? And then it became, shall we say, a little different over the years following?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a complicated issue, and I just don't really know where I stand on that side of it. Again, I think it was just poorly cut.
It is.
Order 66, I feel like it should have been more of a prolonged effort, and you should have just maybe stripped the Jedi down more and more. Is about the best I could really come up with. It just the fact that it's a one fell swoop always bothered me. What I do like is that he manipulates the Jedi. When he tells Anakin that he's a Sith, he knows Anakin's not going to join him yet. But in doing that, he is manipulating the Jedi into attacking him, so he can grab power because the supposed perfect protectors of the galaxy just tried to assassinate the beloved Chancellor. And obviously there shouldn't be any power outside the Chancellorship, is the argument he uses to convince people. And so that part I really like. I guess I just wish that Order 66 had been given by the Senate instead of Palpatine. Maybe that would have worked a lot better. Like if somehow you'd had the Senate witness the Jedi attempting to kill Sidious, maybe that would have worked a lot better. I don't know.
I would say that I think it's a little bit of poor directing, but I will say about that scene, I think what really makes it for me is John Williams' score and just watching all these characters die.
Certainly. The other problem with Order 66 is you just spent 3 movies convincing me that the Jedi are friggin' superheroes that can never be touched by a blaster bolt, and then you kill them all in ways that seems like they easily should have survived it before that.
In one way, you could say that Order 66, because it's kind of brilliant. In a way, you can almost argue that it's kind of brilliant, because at this point, 3 years of fighting, the Jedi were never meant to be soldiers. Not even during the past few wars. They were never meant to be generals. And yet, here they are making bonds with all these soldiers that they had fought side by side with for so long. And then they wouldn't even realize that, oh my god, these people are programmed to kill me.
Mm-hmm. That part's good, yeah. I don't know, I've got mixed feelings on it, all things considered, because I really do like parts of it, and other parts just always bothered me. Let's talk about something else with Sidious. How do you feel about the fact that he just switched apprentices left and right?
Well, everyone was a pawn to him. Honestly, though, he did want to keep Maul. He actually wanted to keep Maul until Anakin was ready. Because he knew that he foresaw that Anakin would be a very powerful Jedi, and he wanted him as an apprentice. But Obi-Wan suddenly got the high ground on Maul. and and that kind of got ruined, so he had to go with Dooku, which at the time he had becoming friends with through his connections, and he can't.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on real quick. Can you pause the video real quick, because I gotta take.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that.
It's all good. You were saying something about Dooku?
Um, yeah, like I said, at this point, a happy accident had happened in that he had become friends with Count Dooku, who's starting to become like disillusioned by the Jedi Order because Qui-Gon was dead. But before then, he felt like he failed Qui-Gon because he was so against the Jedi Order. And then he had his other apprentice, Kamara Vosa, turn to the dark side during the Battle of Gilderon, where he watched other Jedi die, and the Order didn't seem to care. So he kind of saw that Dooku would be like, okay, I got an idea. You've got connections. You've got the power of the Force. You know, I'm not saying I'm a Sith Lord, but, you know.
Yeah, I like that. I question the way in which he courts Anakin at times. And I guess I question that more on the whole Darth Vader's character level than Sidious's character level. Like, manipulating someone to the dark side through love, that whole thing I like. I just question, like, how long could that possibly be kept up? Like,
Well,
I'm reading the Charles Soule Darth Vader book, which is always up and down in quality as everything that Charles Soule writes, apparently.
I can say
Like,
in most novels that Palpatine was the one guy Anakin can go to, because whenever he tried to talk to Obi-Wan or the other Jedi, they'd be like, "Oh, the Force will just make everything better. You can, everything will be revealed through the Force and all that." And he was like, "No, I need actual help. I need someone to talk to." So he would constantly go to Palpatine, who would be like, "Hey, how you going? How was your day, man?"
yeah, and I get that. I'm just saying, like, with the way things are left at the end of Revenge of the Sith, it basically means that Vader is under the impression that, he's saving the galaxy and all that stuff, and I just don't know if I buy that for Vader long term. Luckily, we have the Kieran Gillen run, which I feel bridges that gap quite nicely.
Yeah.
To create the
Oh, sorry.
to create the evolved character for Darth Vader.
Yeah, that's where we really get to see like him become where we finally get to see him become a true Sith Lord.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love his Sidious's whole thing of like, oh, so you built your own army, you killed people who I tasked you to watch over, and you annihilate all the potential apprentices and try to build your own empire within mine. I am so proud of you.
Yeah, right? That is just the absolute best. He's like, you're growing up so fast. Oh my. Yeah. Yeah, I like that a ton. And it's so neat to see Sidious's deviousness like perpetrate through it. To your point about the way he was courting younger Anakin, I didn't really care for the Anakin Obi-Wan book that much, but like the scenes that were fantastic were the Anakin Sidious scenes, right?
Yeah.
Those were great. Like, he just takes him to, like, this seedy bar on the lowest levels of Coruscant, where there's, like, gambling over slaves and stuff, and just, like, kind of teaches him to abuse the Force. God, that was the best thing ever. Without even making him realize that he's a Sith Lord. That's perfect to me. I absolutely adored that about the way that Sidious interacted with them.
Throughout the Marvel comics, they've been up and down in terms of quality for the Star Wars comics, but I feel like the consistency is how good the Emperor is throughout.
Yeah, he has not had a bad scene. I love that issue of the Star Wars annual that had Sidious in it, and it's like it perfectly uses the way he likes to plan things, which is to make people defeat themselves. Like lure someone in a trap kind of things. Because in that, you have the whole battle of Endor.
Right.
Where it's just all this elaborate scheme to get the rebellion to flesh itself out so that he can, trap them and defeat them with the Death Star. And honestly, it would have worked if not for just the stormtroopers' incompetence related to the Ewoks. But, like, that's really cool. And then you have the Star Wars annual that came out 2 years ago, I guess, where like there's this spy who plans to try to rescue senators and all this stuff, and go for taking a shot against the Emperor, and then it was all just a big elaborate ruse to lure out the spies on Coruscant for the rebellion and kill them.
And make it a big
And I
political
love that.
statement at the end. That was the big end game was, here's what happened. The rebels tried to kill me.
Yep, the rebels tried to kill me when I was trying to free these senators that, even though they committed crimes against the Emperor, I was being merciful, that kind of thing. Yeah, I loved it. It was just so damn evil. And there's no way not to like that side of things, right? Where it's just the how damn clever can you be kind of feeling.
Exactly, where, like I said, the dude was playing the long game to the point where Cersei Lannister or anyone else who is in that kind of category goes, "You're good."
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you lose. Yeah,
I assure
or you win
if
or you die.
If he does, Sidious definitely played the long game.
Right? Sidious is fucking Littlefinger of the Game of Thrones universe. Man, Sidious is fucking cool.
And I think the best.
How do you feel?
Oh, sorry.
How do you feel about him using using a lightsaber?
I think it's fine, but the big thing, and this actually brings a point I was going to bring up. One of the best things about Sidious is that he looks so unimposing. He is just looks like this frail old little man in this black robe, and yet he's the most powerful being in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
he could just kill you by just glancing at you. But at the same time, him with a lightsaber, I don't know. Like, I'm torn half and half on it. Like, it's kind of the same thing with Yoda, where they're so powerful in the Force. Why do you need a lightsaber? At that point, you wouldn't even need it, right?
Well, like, people say that, but then if they're both equally matched in power, then it has to come down to saber combat, right?
I guess it does, but at the same time, and this goes back to the Plagueis novel, where Plagueis explains to Sidious why Sith still build lightsabers, because it's an offense to the Jedi, in that it shows that we are still around, and it's our beacon to show that we are still a force in the galaxy and a dagger that's going to come up behind them.
Fair enough. I like the fact that he's just that damn maniacal about the way he uses it. Like, I love him. I love the duel he has in the Clone Wars series between Darth Maul and his brother.
Yeah, that is.
Oh my
God!
God, that is so cool.
He's not even trying. That's the best part.
Yeah, definitely. He is just completely an overwhelming force, and he could easily defeat them with the Force, but he just decides to meet them on their terms just to fuck with them. And I really, really like that. And, people hate it to death, but I honestly can never complain. My favorite lightsaber duel is Yoda and the Emperor fighting.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not condemning you. It's not a bad lightsaber fight. I kind of wish it was in a different place.
I don't know. It's really cool. Like, it just kind of literalizes what they're fighting for. The Senate, the Republic. I really like that. Like, you have Yoda who's trying to protect the Republic, so he's not like throwing. He's not the one that starts throwing the seats of the Senate at him. It's Sidious that starts that shit. So Sidious is literally destroying the Republic as he is fighting Yoda. And Yoda is there trying to defend it, like, to the last straw. And I just really like that side of it as far as the location goes. The moves are excellent, where, like, everyone talks about, oh, it's just a big lightsaber fight. They shouldn't even need to. They should just be able to use the Force against each other. I'm like, no, they do. That is primarily a Force battle.
I agree with that, where halfway through, they both kind of just give up the lightsabers and just go, all right, now it comes down to who's more powerful. And you have to understand that Yoda was not in the best headset to fight because, Order 66 happened, and his connection to the Force had been weakened through it. With so many losses of the Jedi, he just went in there to get his ass kicked.
Yeah, I don't know how much I buy that argument. I feel like if he went in there to lose, then he would have just died. I don't know how much I buy that, but like I really like the stakes of that battle, and how when he has the chance to get away, he knows that he just can't do it on his own. That he isn't strong enough to be able to defeat the Emperor, and I really, really like that. He is that like I have failed the light, and I enjoy the hell out of that with Yoda.
I would say that my favorite lightsaber fight would be the final lightsaber fight in Return of the Jedi, where Palpatine is just egging Vader and Luke on respectively to see who would be the better apprentice, and it you can see so much of him tainting the both sides of just having father versus son.
Mm-hmm. Darth Sidious would be like the worst fucking roommate. It's like, hey, Sheev, what happened to the milk?
I drank it all, and I can feel your anger. It makes you strong. Now strike me down, and you will become more powerful than I could ever imagine.
It's like, dude, I don't want to strike you down. I bought the milk for me. I don't care if you drink a little bit of it, but like you should let me finish it.
Yes, I can feel your anger.
Like I love that he fucking eggs everybody on to kill him. That is like hands down one of my favorite character tropes of just trying to egg people on to kill me.
Because you can't.
I love it to death.
Because
I love it to death. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic every time.
And I do love that moment where he's like, wait, what are you doing? Put me down.
It's like, wait, you're not actually supposed to kill me. Damn! And I like how he's defeated. My favorite dialogue exchange in Star Wars, honestly, the everything with Vader, Luke, and the Emperor on the Death Star is just all of that is collectively my favorite stuff in Star Wars. But like the way in which he's defeated, because he has that conversation with Luke, and he's like, soon you will be my apprentice. And Luke's like, your overconfidence is your weakness.
Your faith in your friends is yours.
And it's almost like a moment. Like that meme.
Yeah, it is. And then it turns out that Luke was right, because he gets way too overconfident of his control over Vader, and Vader just fucking ends his ass. And I love that. It is the ultimate comeuppance for that character in a really, really clever way.
The only thing that kind of ruined it was Vader going, no.
No. No. No. Yeah. Thanks, Lucas.
Yeah, you ruined a great emotional moment that needed no dialogue.
Yeah, there's a lot of... I need to find an edit of Star Wars that isn't the theatrical cuts, but like keeps the good stuff from the touch-ups, like the Death Star explosion, shit like that, because people like worship the theatrical cuts way too much. There were some improvements needed, I promise.
I like the explosion rings.
Yeah, I like the explosion rings. I like the fact that they changed the language that everything is in. That's cool. Just stuff like that. I'm like, God damn it! Why can't we have some of this? Why did you have to change so much to the point where it's just ugly? Ugh.
Yeah, and I actually like the touch-ups on Cloud City.
Yeah, me too. There's some stuff where it's totally fine, and then people just have to overreact about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else do we have to say about Palpatine?
I guess, like, when we were talking about Vader, the one thing that I kind of wanted to throw out there is that one of the things of why he kept Vader for so long, why Vader, didn't try to overthrow him up until, like, the Gillen run, which was right after New Hope, was that Vader kind of felt it was kind of an emotional grab onto because he had lost everything else. He thought he lost his son. He thought he lost his, he lost his wife, the Jedi Order's gone. Emotionally, he had no one else to cling on but the Emperor.
Mm-hmm. And that's like the worst kind of relationship, because the Emperor just wanted to use him. One thing that I always kind of scratch my head about is the conversation that Yoda and the Emperor have in Return of or Revenge of the Sith, where he says something to the effect of Darth Vader will become more powerful than either of us. And, like, I don't understand what he means by that or why he's bragging about it.
I think because, like, going back to Gillen's run is that, you know, he kind of understood that he wasn't going to live forever. So I think he needed that. He needed someone to carry on that kind of power that he's going to have.
See, I don't even know how I feel about that, because from what I understand, Sidious was, like, Plagueis, doing a lot of moves to try to gain immortality after he solidified his power, but he wanted to, like, he was more aware that Vader would probably try to betray him at some point. I don't know, it's hard to really stamp down and decide.
Yeah. Well, I guess at the time he thought, well, if I don't find a way to be immortal, at least I got Vader to keep things going. Oh, Mustafar, damn it.
Yeah, he was really let down by Vader on Mustafar. That's funny. Okay, well, I think that'll do it then. Everybody, thanks very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I am the Don Juan of Comic-Con.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.